off so that there's no sort of really disturbing background noise, so I'm probably just going to be stopping fairly frequently to stay hydrated. I'll probably just blow the fan on me to calm me down at various intervals, so apologies for that. What I will do first is talk about how I store my dice. So, the first way that I tend to store my dice, and you might have spotted it in some of my videos actually, is my bookcases. As I'm sure is the case for most people, a lot of the dice that we own are very, very unique or beautiful, and it seems a shame to hide them away in a container, so I do tend to line my dice up on my bookcase, just because they're really pretty. I like to look at them. I do occasionally like to just play with them and roll them, so I like to have them on display. I have become aware recently that my cat has also noticed them, and I have woken up the past few mornings to dice just sort of littered on the floor. Luckily there's nothing they can get under over here. My bookcases are to the floor, but I have had to start storing them on higher shelves so that he can't reach them and start playing with them. I did notice the other day that he had rolled one all the way out of the front room into the hallway and into the kitchen. It was a D20. I have lost dice in the past. Oops, that's quite bad of me. By having them fall from my bookcases, it has not deterred me from storing them on my bookcases. It probably should. All it's done is meant that I've had to move them higher. They aren't on here, they are this one used to roll quite high for me. We're off to a good start. 2, 14, and another 2. Let's try a d6. 1s, and again. My dice rolling is not very good today. Wow, okay. 4, 3, 1. This just is not going very well for me, is it? This one used to serve me so well. I can't see me getting a natural 20 today. 17. Not too bad. This next set is actually the first set that I got out of a mystery dice bag. This Goblin brand. I won it at an auction. My local pub does a geek auction, a geek themed auction to raise money for charity once a year. And a friend of mine had donated a few mystery dice bags, so I bid on one, and these are the ones that I got. They are this gorgeous blue and purple with some glitter in. Absolutely stunning. I was really surprised. I didn't expect them to be so pretty out of a dice bag like that. I don't know if the sunlight is hitting it well enough, but there we go. I think you can see some of the shimmer on these ones. So pretty. Really gorgeous. Oh, clacking sound. I promise I'm gonna do my best not to lose any dice during this video. So let's see how these ones roll. I have decided to try something different with this set. I don't trust that rolling mat. So we will use my Kinks and Cantrips book to roll instead. I do hope to one day take a look into this with you all. It's a very, very wonderful book. Some very interesting spells and subclasses. Highly recommend it. So, let's start with our D20. 4, 13, and 13 again. Let's try this kind of orange has never been my favourite, but it is very shimmery, so I think that helps. And they do make the nicest clacking sounds. You can see the shimmering orange in there. So pretty. This isn't one that I often roll with. I tend to try and theme my dice to my character. And currently I'm playing my Paladin, so orange isn't really on brand for her. But if I do have to roll extra damage, I will try and theme that. So if there's ever any fire damage, if I need a d6 or a d8, then I will use my orange there to remind me that that's the fire damage. As most of you will know, sometimes it's pretty important to specify any different types of damage. So this is just a good way for me to remember, okay, that's my fire damage. This over here is, lightning damage, or this is radiant damage, which is mostly what the damage type I'm using as my Paladin, currently making her way through Barovia. A lot of undead. So yeah, I'll often use this. Some of my smites have fire damage, so I will use this. It's relevant dice type to roll the damage for that. A nice little handy trick that I learned off a player in my D&D group who does that. So let's take a closer look. Let's try rolling on a spread of the new Dungeons and Dragons Dragon Delves video. There's some really gorgeous artwork in this book. Recently received this. I ordered it a while ago. I will be doing a review on it soon, in a couple of videos' time. But let's see, which dragon shall I use? I want some good luck. You know what? I really do identify with the copper dragon. So let's roll on this page. Let's see. So we have our orange set. Let's start with a D20. Oh gosh, that went cocked. Okay, 12, not too bad. 7, 2. I feel like I was so close to a 20. No, never mind. What about a D12? I don't think we've rolled a D12 yet. Oh, straight off the page. It was a 6 though. Another 6. physical dice. That should have been obvious, but not to someone who'd never played online before. So I bought this set really, really excited to play it, and didn't get to use it for some time. To be fair, I quite enjoyed playing online with this particular group. It was a bit of a novelty, quite a lot to get your head around, particularly for someone like me who suffers quite a lot from anxiety. I was very quiet for those earlier sessions, but I find it a really, really accessible way to play if you can't corral a group of your own friends. Online is definitely a good place to look for. I was introduced to this particular group through my work DM, who I've mentioned earlier in the video. It was him and a bunch of friends, but they had friends in other countries and things like that, so they decided to do a game online, and I had so much fun with it. It went on for quite a while, and I slowly got used to playing online, but I definitely still missed rolling physical dice. So let's see how this set rolls. Oh, here we go. It's just this image here really, really sold it to me. Let's try on this spread. Doesn't really match the dice, but let's see. D20. 3. 19, that's the highest we've gotten so far. And a 15, that's not done too badly. Let's try a D8 again. 2. 2. Can we make it a third? 2. And a 4. Let's see how well we roll with all of them. Oh, well, there's our other 2. Yeah, it's not been a great rolling day for me so far. This next set is my most recent purchase, as in within the last few weeks, and it is this gorgeous black and gold set, almost like maybe even like a bronze. There they all go. I saw it online and just could It seemed perfect for a celestial, but I did tweak it slightly because a star seemed a little on the nose, so I did change it so that it's pronounced Astorial, and that was where I got her name from. And this is the dice that's pretty much made for her. So this was my second mystery dice bag, the goblin one again. My DM bought me this a few months ago, and as soon as I opened it, I was quite frankly gobsmacked. Because when people think of Paladin, they think of purity. I think the most sort of common or popular colours that come to mind are white, gold, silver. And when I opened this and found that it was this white, glittery, shimmery set with golden letters, I couldn't have picked a more perfect set for her. I immediately sent him a picture and was like, I can't believe this. This is crazy. So this one I use very frequently for her. I do tend to use this mostly for her radiant damage. So a few of my other smites do radiant damage, and I have a feat. Nope, it's not a feat. It's a oh my gosh, I want to say race. It's a species trait. As an ASMR, I can transform, and there are 3 different things that I can transform, and my most frequent one gives me wings, these very sort of, they're not physical, tangible wings, they're incorporeal, and they give me a flight speed, but it also means that I do an additional dice of radiant damage, which, as you can imagine, yes, Curse of Strahd, it's used very frequently. So I usually roll one of these for my radiant damage. So let's see what kind of look it gives me today. Okay, my second to last set. And my second favourite. I don't often roll the d20 of this set, but this is where I usually roll. So let's see. 7. A 1. So many ones today. 19. So close. Come on. Give me that d20. And another natural one. Let's go for my d6. 1 after 1 after 1. This, you know what? Yes, actually, let's get all of my my brain went, no, we've got to have our own set. So I ummed and ahed and I researched and I found this set on Etsy, this Labradorite set. All these gorgeous purples and greens and blues, like how you can see the fishes in them. Absolutely stunning. And in fact, if I can find it, which you've just seen, the D6 has these gorgeous moons on. So very, very celestial. So these are the ones that I mostly roll this is just about over half of them. And this video is already, I think, looking at being over an hour or around that mark. It is going to take me quite some time to go through this dice bag. So I think what I'm going to do is cut this video in two. So before we finish the first part, we are going to open our mystery dice bag. Mystery dice. It says on the back here, may the dice gods be ever in your favour. So, keep your fingers crossed. Let's see what's inside. So, let's see what the dice gods have in store for us today. What is it, Percy? I thought he might eventually come and take a look. How are we doing? I know you're trying to scratch your face, aren't you? Okay, Percy, be careful. Oh, wow. That is gorgeous. Look at that. This this gorgeous glittery red set. There's some pinks in there as well, actually. They're a lot darker in person than they're appearing on camera. The lighting is definitely brightening them up. I'd say they were quite a raspberry colour. Wow, they are beautiful. Let's see how they roll. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's redeemed itself slightly. Okay. And an 18. Okay, I can be happy with that. So that is it for what has apparently become part one of this dice tour. As usual, I severely underestimated the amount of time that I ever have to do anything, and so I'm going to be going through my dice sets in my other dice bag in part two. We will also be undoing and opening our second mystery dice bag, so please do come back and join me for that next week. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I hope you had a good time delving into my dice bag, my dice sets. Hope you've come away with maybe some inspiration for your own dice, or you've had a really relaxing time listening to some dice ASMR. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I see you again next week. Take care.